You get a trade. You get a trade. You get a trade. Everybody gets a trade. Let's break it down. Mac, how are we doing this morning?
I'm good. Traffic was crazy and we're getting going a little bit late, but that is okay because we're here. We both are alive. The roads were terrible.
Oh, they were so bad. I almost died on my way here. Someone cut me off, but they also decided they wanted to slide while doing it. It was a fun time. But I don't really care about that because we have trades to break down, and trades to break down are my favorite, especially when it leaves the Canucks looking sad.
Yes, I agree.
So do we want to start with the big one? JT Miller on the move, goes back to the Rangers, where I believe he started his career.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And in a move that saw a return that was about what I expected given the leverage they had.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, looking at it, I feel like the Rangers gave up less than what was actually needed. I know that first round pick people are all up in arms about, but JT Miller is still like a top 15 player.
No, 100%. The first is needed to get JT Miller in a deal. And, I mean, the fact you only had to give up Philip Hedl, who's been your third-line center for his entire career, and a defensive prospect that I've never heard of. Maybe he's good. I don't know. I've never heard of Victor Mancini.
Okay, so I looked him up last night. Okay. And he has only played 15 games for the Rangers. Mm-hmm. And he's 25. He was a fifth-round pick. So really, if I were a Rangers fan, I would have no problem giving that up.
Not gonna lie, it kind of just sounds like they swapped the prospects who could be in the NHL. Because the Canucks also gave up Eric Brandstrom, which I know a lot of Canucks fans were super excited when they got him. And I remember like a couple of years ago when he was supposed to be this like big star, and I think it was Ottawa, and he just doesn't seem to have panned out quite yet. But that's not to say he can't or won't.
Exactly.
Neither will Victor, Mancini. But looking at the Canucks blue line, where does he fit in right now? Who knows? Because there was a second trade Vancouver did that now has 3 Petterssons on the Canucks. And it gets crazier, people. They have Elias Pettersson, the centerman, Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, and now Marcus Pettersson, the other defenseman. The jersey bar goes, like the name bars on the jerseys now have to have letters in front. It's insane. They do that trade. They trade the first they got from the Rangers, as well as whatever else it was, Vinny Desharnais, our boy.
Yeah.
And they ship him out to Pittsburgh, and they bring in Marcus Pettersson, a guy I was kind of thinking the Oilers might look at, but now he's gone, and that's okay, because now they have, I can't wait for the day that the Vancouver announcer guy in the arena has to go, goal from by Pettersson, from Pettersson and Pettersson.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing about Desharnais. He was good for Edmonton. He was good. He was on that pairing with Nurse, and I think he played with Kulak a bit as well.
He, at least last season, mostly played with Kulak.
Yeah, and he did well, and he was loved by Edmonton, but Edmonton wasn't willing to give him the $2 or $3 million that he was looking for, which I understand it. Chase your bag. Get that money. Nothing is guaranteed in life, especially when you're a pro athlete. But also, when you're a defenseman like that, you have to understand like what your role is within a team and what that could look like if you are on a different team. And it just didn't pan out in Vancouver. And I almost guarantee that he is like, I miss my boys. I miss my Oil boys, because he went from a locker room that is so close and has amazing leadership is just so tight, and he went to the shit show that is Vancouver.
The person I feel the worst for in Vancouver is, what's his name? DeBrusk.
Yeah.
Dude, again, very similar situation. Like, Boston's got a good room, goes from that, chases his bag, and ends up there.
Yeah.
But unlike Vinny, where it was like, I need to chase the bag, like, it was deserved for DeBrusk.
Yeah.
However, he's kind of fallen off in the last little bit of the season, not really scoring. But
also something really funny. I was listening to Spit and Chicklets last week, and they had Pat Maroon on, and he was on Boston last year. Yep. He was acquired at the trade deadline, and they had that series against Toronto, and they were going into Game 7. And going into that series, they're like, we are not afraid of Toronto. We love playing Toronto. And then Jake DeBrusk probably jokingly said, I own Toronto, because he is not a... He is a top 6 forward, but he is not crazy offensive.
No.
And just hearing Jake DeBrusk say, I own Toronto, and the way Pat Maroon said it made it sound like he was serious, but in all reality, he was probably joking, but
I mean,
it really
some
made...
players have their teams they just really like to play against, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, Leon owns Nashville. That's just a fact.
That is a fact. He is the mayor of Nashville.
The mayor of Nashville. It's on the Wikipedia page. You can look it up unless it's been, fixed. But next time we play Nashville, I'm sure it'll be changed back. So that was the 2 trades Vancouver did. I mean, in terms of the leverage they had, I think it's fine. But, you still gave up the best player in the deals. Like, bringing in Marcus Pettersson is fine. He's a fine defenseman, but...
Apparently, Sidney Crosby texted, I don't know who on Vancouver, somebody on Vancouver. I was listening to 32 Thoughts and forgot to write it down. But Sidney Crosby sent a text saying, you gained some really good guys. You're super lucky. So having that, up from Crosby as well is,
100%.
huge.
The fact that Crosby went out of his way to text anyone on the Canucks is hilarious.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Philip Hedl is a solid centerman. Maybe with a bigger role in Vancouver, he flourishes a little more. He's been stuck on the third line in New York for however long, and I'm pretty sure he's running their second line right now because they don't have any other centerman.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know. If I'm JT Miller, I'm like, thank God. Get me out of there.
Well, I mean, that stat that I sent you of his 2,500-day point streak with the Rangers is hilarious. Also, the fact that he goes in his first game out of Vancouver, scores 2 goals in a 3-2 or a 3-6 loss or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Sure, he still scored the first 2 goals of the game.
Yeah.
Or for the Rangers at least, and it's that's the JT Miller that we know exists.
Exactly.
But all the off-ice stuff was just not letting him do that.
Yeah. And also against Vegas, he had 2 assists. So he's only played 2 games with the Rangers, but his production's already up. And
considering he had 7 goals in the first 39 games with the Canucks he played, and now he's already got 4 points in 2. That's insane.
Yeah. And
so good for him.
Yeah.
I hope things realistically, in terms of a person, I hope everything works out and the drama stops. But in terms of hey, I'm an NHL fan, I'm glad he's out east.
Yeah, same. And also, I saw a stat saying that the Rangers' playoff probability went up 40%, whereas the Canucks' probability went down about 30%, which is honestly, that stat doesn't lie. JT Miller in the playoffs, he basically eliminated McDavid in that series with Edmonton.
Luckily, we had depth and Draisaitl.
Yeah, but...
And Calvin Pickard.
True. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be great for JT, and I have a weird soft spot for the Rangers. I think it's just because there's an original 6 team.
You have your soft spots for the original 6 teams.
I do.
I
don't know why I do, but I do. And I just think it's awesome that JT Miller's back and he's best friends with Trocheck and he's living with him.
I didn't know until this all started coming out. Those were best friends.
Yeah, they played together when they were 9 and now they're playing together in the NHL. That is the coolest thing ever. So cool. That is so cool. Yeah.
So, you want to know another thing that's not helping the Vancouver Canucks playoff hopes?
Yes.
The Calgary Flames winning a trade.
Yeah. Big trade.
Yeah, for those of you who did not hear, the Calgary Flames traded away Andrei Kuzmenko, who is having a really rough year. Kuzmenko is a weird case because, it was between us and Vancouver when he originally signed. And everyone in Edmonton wanted him. Big, the Russian winger, whatever. Decides he doesn't like snow. Goes to the rainy place instead. Has a good year, and then has a bad year. Gets traded. Has another bad year, and now he's traded again. So I don't really know what to think of Kuzmenko. They didn't really give up much in that.
No,
he was
they
not
didn't.
producing. They gave up Peltier, who is a good prospect, and he was sad to leave Calgary for sure, but. I mean, and then a 2nd and a 7th or something like that. And in return, you get Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, who are two young players who will help them now and in the future as they continue to build. And, I mean, Farabee's locked up for the next 3 years. You don't even have to worry about that. Like, Frost, yes, needs a new contract at the end of the season, but I'm sure they'll be able to get something done. And honestly, the saddest part about this entire trade is, yes, A, Flames get better, but B, did you see Owen Tippett's post?
Yes.
With just, like, my boys with the heartbreak as it was the three of them lined up for the...
Knife in the heart.
That
like,
hurt.
watching these trades with these players, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you're taking his best friend away from him. What are you doing?
I know. Like when Vinny went and signed in Vancouver, I was like, man, Stu just lost his high five buddy.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that trade? Because, like, I think it's a smart trade if you're Calgary.
Oh,
But
100%.
also, all you're doing is perpetuating the fact that you're going to be mid for a while. And you might be a wild card team. You might not be a wild card team. You're certainly not a divisional title team, like a divisional spot team. And with Wolf, now emerging himself as a good goaltender, like solid, consistent, will win you games and give you everything he's got to help you win a game. Shoring up their middle six with some good depth, like, I like the trade if they were more of a contender, I think. Like, I like Morgan Frost. I think he'd be a great 3C here in Edmonton, too. But I don't know. It's an interesting one to me. Like, it's showing that they want to compete. Like, they see themselves in the wild card race, and they're like, you know what? We want to get to the playoffs. But why? I guess because you're locked down with all these contracts of...
I mean, like, why not?
I mean, that's fair.
And also, so this is showing that the Flames GM believes in the group that they have.
No, for sure.
And
I guess
he
that's
is like, I am bringing in pieces to lock down that wild card spot. And you know what? I really like this from the Flames. I like it when the Flames are competitive.
That's true.
And
it does make the Battle of Alberta more spicy because the last few years...
It's been boring as fuck.
The last time the Battle of Alberta meant anything was when Talbot and Smith dropped the gloves.
Exactly.
That was, and like the playoffs in 2022, I know, but also we ran them over in 5.
Yes, but also like that came basically within like the same span of time, right? So the
really,
Western Conference is better when the Battle of Alberta is alive.
Oh yeah,
it is. That's a fact.
It is 100% a fact. Rivalries make everything better, and like it's just been sad because I've had this conversation with people online. It's like, oh, who are your like least favorite teams? And I don't even know if Calgary's in like my top 3 right now.
No,
because like in terms of yes, the rivalry's always there. Like in terms of like rivalry hate, whatever, Flames will always be up there just because the Battle of Alberta. But like right now, it's like Vancouver, not so much the team, some with the fans. The whole thing with the playoffs still just sits weird in my mouth.
I don't like Soucy or Garland or Myers.
That's true.
I respect Hughes, but
Hughes gets respect. Everyone else is kind of ratty.
I don't like Demko, honestly. I don't think he's a good person, so I don't like him. I don't like the fans. I don't really like... I like Rick Tocchet as like a coach, but some of the things he says really pisses me off. And you know
the
what?
eye rolling on the bench is getting a little absurd.
Literally, bro, it's your team. It's your team. Like, I don't know what you expect when this is your team. Like, and also the fact that like they hired Tocchet, and one of the reasons that they lost in the playoffs and that they're struggling right now is because they can't generate offense. And Tocchet has had that before when he is the head coach of teams, i.e. the Arizona Coyotes.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. Offense is not his system, and he has an offensive team. Like, I like this just parody. Like, their team is meant to create offense off the cycle, especially when you have Quinn Hughes on the point.
Literally.
But they don't utilize it, and Quinn Hughes, when he does something beautiful, it's a solo effort 90% of the time.
Exactly.
When he just decides, I'm going to be the best player on the ice right now.
And you can't have that on him every single night. We literally went from the Flyers trade back to Vancouver.
I know, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's so easy to get, go back and, talk shit. But
also, I'm just going to say really quickly, this puts the freaking fire under Pettersson's ass because
if he does not do well, he has no more excuses.
Exactly. So they have like about a month until the trade deadline. And then also in this offseason, his no trade clause comes into effect. So it's either he figures it out by the trade deadline or you move him because you're going to have a hell of a time moving him after this season.
Yeah.
And also with the Flyers, they got shut out 3 nights in a row, and then to lose 2 young players that are very good. And Michkov, I feel for him. He got into it with Torts
Torts, yeah.
on the bench on Saturday night, I think. Whatever night it was. Don't fact check me. They got into it because he was standing stagnant on the ice, and that led to a goal. And Tocchet holy
Come
smokes. Oh my God.
I know it's early, but like, let's get our coaches straight.
Yeah. Torts just lost his shit. And honestly, like, I don't blame Torts. Like, he is the coach where the players play, and they're like, we're doing this despite of you, not for you.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, like, I don't really know what Philly's doing because, like, it felt like you guys were trying to come out of this rebuild. Like, you've got Michkov, and, like, I guess unless you're really trying to sell for another top 5 pick to find, you know, a second superstar, which, again, a lot of these, you know, cup-winning teams do. You have multiple superstars that you draft. McKinnon, Makar, whatever. I mean, Vegas did theirs through the trades mostly.
Yeah.
But Lightning with Hedman, Stamkos, Point, like whatever, all guys they drafted. I guess the trade they made doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess like from what I read from a Flyers perspective is that Farabee was a cap dump because he makes $5 million. And my question is,
$5 million is like nothing.
Well, my question is, why are you cap dumping a 25-year-old who makes, or 24-year-old, however old he is, who makes $5 million when the cap's jumping $20 million in the next 2 years? And also, like, played on your first line and produced your offense.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And also, with the cap going up, I was listening. It may have been 32 Thoughts or Spit and Chicklets. Probably Spit and Chicklets,
You listen
actually.
to too many.
I know. But they were talking about how fans think that, like, the team's money is their money, which, honestly, I agree with. Because we're the ones paying for the tickets. We're the ones buying merchandise.
100%.
We're the ones buying the beers, buying the nachos.
If you're making me spend $40 for a beer and a hot dog, I want my say.
Yeah.
I might as well be buying a steak in the goddamn, like,
exactly.
in the Oilers, the OEG.
Literally. So the fans feel like they have, like, kind of like a right to these players. And you know what? Like, I agree with it. And they were talking about the cap jumping and how these $5 million players, when that jumps, these are going to be such bargain contracts that you're not even going to, like, really notice it.
So when the cap jumps up, Leon at $14 million is going to be a bargain deal.
Yes. And also, like, these $5 million contracts are going to go up to, like, $8 or $9 million contracts. So what would you rather have? A $5 million contract or an $8 or $9 million contract on somebody that you don't really know is going to produce?
No, 100%.
You know, like, it just, that like, the whole cap dump thing is stupid to me because he's young and it's $5 million and the cap is going up $20 million in the next 3 to 4 years.
Allegedly, projectedly. But, I mean, I assume that's what's going to happen. We got one more trade to talk about before we run too long on. We've talked a lot about the Canucks. Got to stop doing that. But got one more trade. The Dallas Stars traded. I don't even remember what they gave up in this trade, but they acquired Granlund and Cody Ceci from the Sharks. Another ex-Oiler on the move. I like this move for the Sharks. I really like this move.
For the Sharks or Dallas?
Dallas. Sorry.
Okay, I was like,
I mean, for the Sharks, it still makes sense. They're not contending.
No.
But I honestly, CC being on the move surprised me just because I heard like they really liked CC and they wanted to keep him around. But I mean, I guess when something comes your way in an offer, like, sure. But,
I mean, when Dallas comes to you and they're like, hey, we'll give you a first-round pick and a conditional third-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, why? And the third-round pick happens if Dallas makes the Stanley Cup final, I think.
Which isn't happening because that means they got to get through us.
Yeah. So I listened to 32 Thoughts. I referenced these so much, but, like, I feel like 32 Thoughts really gives you like the broader look on things, whereas everything we look at in this league is under a microscope. So having like the broader look at things really helps me, at least.
Fair enough.
And Friedman talked about Cece, and we all know he is a great locker room guy. When he was on the Oilers, he was in trade talks, and Leon was like, I don't fucking think so. Don't even.
No, I mean, the guys loved Cece, and Cece loved it here. And I mean, like, as a person, I loved Cece. As a second pairing defenseman making too much money, I wasn't a fan of that. As a third pairing defenseman making too much money, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
If he would have been a third pairing defenseman making third pairing defenseman money, I'd be so happy with it.
Yeah. So also, Friedman said, he's like, Cece is like a simple things guy.
Yep.
Where if you are asking him to do the simple things and not asking him to do too much, you can do that. Like, he can do that, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you have him as like your second pairing and he has to be doing like these crazy defensive plays, he can't do them.
No, that was kind of always the problem we saw here. Everyone loved in quotation marks the Nurse Cece pair, because Cece couldn't do what we needed him to do on the second pair, and Nurse was then having to overcompensate, which then complicated his game to a point where he wasn't doing well. And look what happens when we finally found like some decent partners for Nurse this season. Like, even though, it's been Stetcher, it's been Dermott, it's been now Klingberg, and at times Emberson or Kulak. Like, it's been a rotation for Nurse, but we give him a partner who can play the game and do what we need them to do, and suddenly he's unlocked like this Darnell Nurse we have not seen since the Canadian year.
I think so. Like,
but even that, he was just offensively dominating. This year, he's been so good defensively.
So good.
Like, this might be his best defensive season yet.
Yeah. But also back to Dallas.
Yeah.
I think this trade likely came from injuries, because Tyler Seguin, he's out with surgery, hip surgery, maybe. Miro Heiskanen, crazy hit from Mark Stone. Like, and I get it. We all hate Vegas, but I don't think Mark Stone was out there to injure him. But now
you see the guy kind of fly by, clip his skate. Like, I don't think it was an intentional hit by Stone.
No.
And, like, I think Stone reached out after the game. I heard, or, like, went over and talked to someone during the game. Was like, that was not my intention, like, whatever. And maybe that was just, like, I'm going to preserve my life here, because if I don't, someone's going to come beat the shit out of me.
Jamie Benn is going to hunt me down.
Yeah, for real. But, like, it's unfortunate, especially to see one of the best defensemen leave before the Four Nations. And, like,
yeah, that sucks for Finland.
Yeah, Finland. You know who they have now brought in to fill that spot, or like fill the roster spot? They go from Miro Heiskanen to Henri Jokiharju.
Not great.
Who's a third pairing defenseman on the Sabres.
Yeah.
A guy I still wouldn't mind bringing into the Oilers. I think he has potential. I think he has Emberson potential.
But also, he's not a Four Nations player.
No, he's not Miro Heiskanen. Although Miro Heiskanen got walked in Game 7 of the final, like, of the stuff. So, is he really that good?
Yes, he is. It's just Connor McDavid makes everybody look bad.
That's true.
And then Niels Lundqvist as well. So,
absolutely.
Like they are being riddled with injuries right now.
And yes, like, the trade does come out of necessity. However, Mikael Granlund is a underrated center. And
also, he is a UFA at the end of the season.
Yeah,
so
like, they don't even have to like commit to him long term if they don't want. But I think that's like, I think Dallas was smart in moving before the market showed itself, and they're like, no, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
This wasn't like it wasn't like them trading Miller because they had to.
Yeah.
This wasn't like, I don't know why the Flames trade happened with. I don't know what the.
Or if we're going back to Rantanen, like, doing it now before the market gets crazy, and then you have to give up even more than what you did.
For sure. So, like, smart move by the Stars. Does it make me any more scared of them? Not really. Just means I can watch Cody Ceci get walked all over again. But
yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Do we have any more thoughts on any of the trades?
Not really.
No?
I'm happy for JT Miller. I think the Flames being more competitive is awesome, and I like to see it. And Dallas, I think they're a good team overall, but
Oilers
I
Flames
don't
round
think
one is starting to shape up.
that would.
If we hold first in the division and they finish, wild card one, it could happen.
Something that I think about often is in 2022 when we played the Flames in that second round. And in February, I was talking to one of my friends and I'm like, it could be Oilers Flames. And he was like, what I would give up to see that. But he was like, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. And then it happened. And I was like, told you.
Love that. Love that for you.
Okay.
I think that's it with the around the NHL stuff.
Yeah, so we are going to move to the intermission.
Yep.
So really quickly for Ooks hockey, it was a quiet weekend because there was no games here. Men's team was on a bye, and then the women's team played away on Friday, and then they were in Jasper on Saturday.
Yeah.
Red Deer seems to be a problem for them.
Yeah, I saw that. I went looking through the scores and
Yeah. So they lost 2-1 in Red Deer, and then they got shut out 4-0 in Jasper. So tough weekend. I think that it's just kind of like that mid-season slump, but I could be wrong.
I'm not overly worried. I think
No.
the women over there are super talented. They got a great coach behind the bench. They'll figure it out. Then you don't become back-to-back champions for no reason.
Exactly.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. So major trade news in the NBA.
It's a trade episode.
It really is. It feels like a trade deadline episode, but
it's the beginning of February.
Also, really quickly, I don't think that the trade deadline is going to be boring. I know I texted you and I was like, is anything even going to happen?
Yeah.
But again, I listened to 32 Thoughts and Elliot Friedman, he was like, this is just the pre-trade deadline.
Oh, okay. So
Trade deadline.
The problem is we're going to see another burst of trades happen here just before the Four Nations break. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see what the actual trade deadline 2 weeks later looks like. Because, I know every year there's always that one big trade, like the Oilers getting Ekholm. Last year, I think it was Vegas getting Hurdle. There's always some trade that's oh, well, no one saw that coming. But Rantanen's already been moved. And I know you could, Marner gets traded because contract. No, he's not getting traded.
He's not getting traded.
Toronto loves Marner too much. Marner loves Toronto. He's not going anywhere.
I hate that Justin Bieber looking ass.
But, yes, a big trade in the NBA. Mac, you want to run it down?
All right. So, on Saturday night, there was reported, because it wasn't a rumor. This didn't get out like the Rantanen trade did either, that Luka Doncic, I think.
I think that's it, yeah.
Is going to LA for Anthony Davis and what's the center's name? Give me a second. A first-round pick.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think either of us are huge basketball people.
Okay, I'm not even going to lie. I followed the NBA very closely, all through high school. I loved the NBA. That was peak Warriors versus Cavs. That was, oh my God, it was so good. And then the Spurs were in there with Kawhi. Oh my God, it was so good. And then I followed it basically until the Raptors won.
I was going to say, I followed it until the Raptors won. And then when the Raptors decided to fall off, I was well, this is boring.
Yeah, they're going to be bad for a long time, honestly.
Yeah. The Raptors and the Blue Jays cannot catch a break.
Oh my God. Well, maybe don't trade DeRozan and Lowry. That. Yeah. I can't get into that because I have my feelings on that have festered for 7 years.
Yeah.
That happened almost 7 years ago, I think.
Something like that. It's been a bit, but Luka is on the move.
Okay.
Which is insane.
It is insane. And
yeah, I don't know much about basketball, but I know Luka is a star.
He's only 25.
A 25-year-old franchise player, and they traded him for. I mean, not that Davis is bad, but isn't he getting old?
He is on the older side.
Yeah,
but
to put this in hockey terms, for people who might not also understand, the best way I've seen this explained would be if the Oilers traded Leon Draisaitl to Vegas for Mark Stone and a first. It's Mark Stone's not a bad player, but he's also not Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And like the justification I've heard is, well, Dallas wants to win now, and Anthony Davis is more of a player that helps them win now, but that makes zero sense to me because Luka took him to the finals.
He was like, he's been MVP. Like,
yeah, like,
and really the only thing that they've said is that they were worried about his conditioning because he's 270 pounds.
which is crazy.
That's crazy
That
work.
dude's just a freight train out there. Like, I don't.
And also, like, saying that you're going to trade somebody because they're a little bit on the heavier side.
How does that conversation go down? Hey, why did you trade me? Because your ass is jiggling up and down the court, and we can't have that. Not out of our franchise, whatever position he is. But, like, that's so dumb.
And he's a franchise player. He is a franchise
he's
player.
Out there dropping points and doing the again, I don't know stats, but if he's out there being a franchise player, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Sorry, Leon, we have to trade you because you're a big dude.
Because you have a big bum on you, so that's just not going to work for us. So, okay. Oh, my God. Where is it?
Yeah, Mac had stuff, but...
Okay, maybe I...
Did she not have stuff? Oh, no.
Maybe I don't. Give me 2 seconds.
I just love that, like, everyone in the NHL was like, oh, my God, Rantanen's been traded. And then Miller's been traded. And the Flames made a big trade. Now Dallas is doing stuff. And the NBA was just like, hold my beer.
Literally.
Hold my beer, little bro.
And also, this takes away the opportunity for Luka to sign a Supermax deal, which is crazy as well.
What's a Supermax deal?
So a Supermax deal, because the NBA has like a crazy salary cap. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, sure.
So a Supermax contract is a $345 million contract.
Uh-huh.
And basically, you can only sign it if you've been at a team for a certain amount of time. Is essentially the way I understand it. The person in the NBA that has one is Jason Tatum with $313.9 million. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and
that's more than most NHL players make in their career.
Yeah.
He's
So
making that per year?
yes.
I picked the wrong sport.
Or is it? I don't know. Contracts are annoying and hard to understand.
I see. I got tall in high school. I should have learned how to hoop. I bet if I did the conditioning, I could dunk. I'm 6'4". I got good reach.
That's fair. So I listened to Pardon My Take. They're like NFL, NBA, a little bit of MLB, and then actually since football is going to be over right away, they do follow the NHL, not super closely, but they do. One of the hosts, PFT commentator, he's from Washington, I believe, and is a huge Washington fan. So he's a big Commanders fan as well as a huge Caps fan.
Mm-hmm.
He loves his guy, Ovi, which, I mean, we all do.
Did you see Ovi's like 0.1 second goal last night from the red line?
Yes, and he's now on pace to actually break Wayne Gretzky's record.
Yeah, if he gets it this season, that'd be insane.
He's
How disappointing would it be if he finishes the season like 2 goals off and he has to go play?
They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen.
Who's they? The Capitals, the league, the other teams, like what?
The Capitals, the league, probably the other teams.
Like, do you think teams just start like pulling their goalie when they're down by like 4
and they're just like, just take it.
Just take it, Ovi.
I don't know. He is set to break it by April against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, now back to Luka. My boy Big Cat. I love Big Cat. He's hilarious. And he said, it's not a hard decision. Sign him to a Supermax and put him on Ozempic.
Oh, God. You know, ever since the playoffs started last season, there was me and my friends. We were on the Rebelsis gang because there's the Rebelsis and the Ozempic, and we're Rebelsis gang. What does
By
that mean?
Canadian, by Rebelsis.
What does that mean? We literally have no idea. We're just Rebelsis gang. we saw the Rebelsis commercials. We're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then my buddy last night was sending me like all these like things of being like, if you or a loved one was taking Ozempic or Rebelsis or any of these diabetic drugs for weight loss purposes, blah, blah, blah. And it can lead to all these like terrible things. I'm like, well, Rebelsis gang? I don't know. But yeah, that's a great tweet.
Yeah. And also Mark Cuban, he was probably one of the best, well-known owners in the NBA.
He wouldn't have let this trade happen.
No, and he ended up selling the team. And back in 2020, he did have a quote, and it said, "If you were to ask me to choose between Luka and my wife, catch me at the lawyer's office because I'm not letting that guy go." And then, like 4 years later, basically, he's gone, and he's just pissed. And I feel for Dallas fans, you're pissed off. If you're a Lakers fan, you're like, we just go from superstar to superstar to superstar, and now we're set up for the foreseeable future.
Being a Lakers fan can't even be fun anymore because you just know, oh, well, guess what? Who's that? A superstar on another team? He'll be ours eventually.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to worry about drafting.
No.
They let every other team do it for them, and then they're like, hey, come to LA. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. Or I just want to know, like, the ins and outs of this trade because there's been no real reason given on why it happened. And
did Dallas's GM just have, like, a really rough night? He got a little too much to drink and was just, like, drunk dialing GMs?
Apparently, like, today or yesterday on Pardon My Take, I was listening to it on my way here. And basically, they were just saying that he came out and he was like, I don't know. It might be really good for us. It might be really bad. We will see. But also, Anthony Davis, he is like a top 15 player also in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, he is good. He is old, but he's good. He's very good defensively. He's been like all pro like so many times. And also, they have Kyrie Irving, who I love. I've always been a Kyrie Irving fan. And Klay Thompson, who I've also really loved watching, especially like with Steph Curry on the Warriors. Like, those two were just such a dynamic duo. So I understand that you're a Dallas fan and you're pissed off. But also, does your team really get all that worse? You still have offensive guys. I don't know like what Kyrie and Klay have done offensively this season, but I'm just assuming that they're decent. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. We're going to move into the Oilers talk because we are running out of time, and I have a lot to talk about.
Okay. So do I.
This is going to seem like... Okay.
We need to start with Detroit.
The Detroit game?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I have notes. So I went to that game.
Yep.
And we all know how expensive it is to go to these games. So I got lowerable seats and I was like, this is sick. This is sick. Usually I'm upper bowl, like as high as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, I don't sit in the lower bowl. So we were sitting ahead of a row of fans that were obviously in town for the Leafs game.
Yeah.
And one of these MFers sounded like Will Arnett. I swear to God. And he commentated the entire game.
Oh, no.
And you know what? I don't care if you have like some thoughts, but talking the entire game, like you're the one, like you're Jack and Louie up in the box.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
So I'm gonna start saying things.
I've been waiting for this all week, guys.
Yeah.
She told me she was writing things down, and then she didn't come to school Friday because she was going to tell me about them. And so I've been waiting all week to hear these.
I purposely didn't tell you because I wanted to get your raw reaction.
Okay.
So somebody's gonna get hit here. Skinner, too aggressive playing the puck. Literally shut the fuck up. Keep Skinner's name out of your mouth. And then every time Connor McDavid touched the puck, best player in the world. My God, he moves so fast. And you know what? I understand it. If this is your first time seeing McDavid play live, it is different. It is different. We are so lucky that we get to watch this every single night.
Absolutely.
I kept on thinking that. But also, McDavid kind of played like ass that night. He was not on his game.
McDavid's had a bit of a slope, but like again, the flu has been going through the locker room,
Yeah.
and people seem to like be trying to be like, oh well, that's not an excuse. It's absolutely an excuse.
Literally.
I get the flu. I don't want to get out of bed.
Literally.
What do you mean go play a physical contact sport?
Exactly. You go try and play 60 minutes of hockey while you're under the weather. Like, get real. So then Corey Perry was on his Corey Perry shit that night.
Yes.
He was very good. He's been so good lately. Yeah.
Lately, Corey Perry's been one of our most consistent forwards this season. Isn't he like 4th in our team on 5-on-5 goals?
Yes. Aside from our 4 guys that are on the power play.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this guy starts ripping into Corey Perry. And he says, how is Corey Perry still in the NHL? He's 48. He's bad. He doesn't fight and isn't an enforcer. He's a bad fighter. Scores no goals and doesn't pass the puck. And I said, I nearly turned around and was like, bitch, did you watch the first half of the season? Did you watch? Because he was the one fighting, getting these guys engaged.
Yeah, so I was about to say, all of that is wrong. He's only 39, not 48.
Literally.
Just want to make sure that was clear.
Oh, yeah.
He's fought, I think he has the most fights on the season this year because, early in the season when we were bad and unmotivated, he was going out there, dropping the gloves. He's not an enforcer. Did you watch the Vancouver game where he goaded a guy into a fight and then got him a 10-minute misconduct?
I rest my case.
He has been the worm that we've asked for.
Exactly.
And if I'm hoping that we can get this Corey Perry in the playoffs, because if we can get this Corey Perry in the playoffs, oh my God, we're going to be on the power play the entire time.
I believe that we will. So you know me. I am not afraid to tell people how I feel.
Correct.
So I am sitting there and like you can Dylan's sitting next to me and he can see me visibly like turning my head and I'm like, this MFer, like I'm restraining myself, and he doesn't like it when I yell at random people. So I didn't. I restrained myself, but I was like, I need to just start writing this stuff down. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. So moving on from Perry, he goes, Nuge, where'd you go? Disappeared like normal. Doesn't do anything.
Right, because Nuge in the games leading up to that one in Connor's absence definitely didn't have like 4 goals and a couple assists.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah.
Nuge just disappears. Man, I'm sure glad Nuge doesn't play good defensive hockey.
Yeah.
Glad he just disappears.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Nuge isn't in our top 6.
I'm so glad Nuge is in the locker room helping communicate with the team and being a leader. I'm sure glad he just disappears.
And then he says, you guys know it's 5-on-5, right? What, 3 or 4 shots that shift? And I wanted to turn around again and say, I would like to see you out there 5-on-5 getting more than 3 or 4 shots per shift.
Whoever this person is clearly is not a hockey fan.
So then...
Or like at least not a diehard and is a casual fan who thinks they can read like a newsletter and be like, oh, well, the Oilers should be better.
So then he decides to take a shot at Sidney Crosby. He says... Crosby is out of his prime and can't produce. And I was like, bitch, do you see?
Completely incorrect. He's the only driving force on that Penguins team.
The only reason the Penguins would have a lick of a shot at getting into the playoffs would be because of Sidney Crosby. And then he kept on asking who 53 was and why he was so slow. And I was on my Jeff Skinner shit. I was on my Jeff Skinner shit because he scored that game. Yep. Unreal back check. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Skinner has been on a string of really good defensive hockey, and I love it. If he's bought in to defense, and honestly, based on his last 3 games, I'd say he's deserved Arvidsson. I'm sorry, you're moving down. Skinner, you're moving up. Put him next to Leon. He's earned it. And Arvidsson, I don't know what Arvidsson needs to do. He needs to get a new pair of skates. He keeps falling down when he doesn't, no one even, I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
He's got to stop falling.
Yeah.
RV has just not looked great.
No.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Give Skinner the look.
Yeah. So I was on my Jeff Skinner shit, and anytime he did anything, I was like, that's Jeff Skinner! That's my Jeff Skinner! Keep in mind, I had 3 beers, so...
Man, I didn't know you just had $3,000 for 3 beers.
Yeah. It was... I put my student loans to work that night.
Yeah, for real. Am I going to see you next semester?
And then Dylan had a funny thought about Klingberg that I just have to say.
Okay.
So he said, Klingberg, you got to put on 25 pounds here. Looks like you're going to break your legs, which, I mean, fair. Like, he's skinny.
Yeah.
And it just made me laugh.
I mean, he hasn't played in 14 months. I'm sure
Yeah.
he's lost some weight.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, Klingberg hasn't like done anything that's been like super wow. And
No.
he has had some rough moments. But
Yeah.
I look at those moments as rust and not him being bad.
Exactly.
And I think by the trade deadline, he's going to have this figured out.
I hope
and I
so.
think Klingberg's going to be all right. Because I can see him being here and suddenly Bouchard's offense popping off cannot be a coincidence.
No, not at all. Also, really quickly, when we were in that shootout, as Nuge was going up there, some idiot went to go to the bathroom or something and then decided to come down the steps when Nuge was like going from center ice for his shot
You don't do
and
that.
was blocking the entire view. Everybody was screaming at him. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you going to the bathroom in the middle of a shootout? Why?
Bro, one of the best seat in the house. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So one of our followers, he noticed that and he sent a DM about it. And I was like, literally, who does that? Literally, who does that? Yeah. That is my thoughts on the Detroit game. Also, wasn't that mad about it. If we're going to lose to Detroit, who's been on a heater,
Yeah.
I'd rather lose to them in a
They
shootout,
pretty
get a
much
point out
swept
of
the
it.
entire Canadian road trips. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel too worried about it. Whatever. We got the point. Toronto game, I actually have thoughts about this. In terms of the game itself, like, bad first period. Gotta stop doing that. Gotta stop gifting teams 3-goal leads in the first period.
First, like 25 to 30 minutes was not great.
No, and then guess what? We brought it back. We put it, heads down, hard hats on, got to work, brought it back.
Like, we can't keep doing that. We can't keep
No, we
chasing
can't.
games.
It can't. Unacceptable. Cannot keep gifting teams 3-goal leads. Because it's really hard to come back. And guess what? We did. Until we didn't.
did. Yeah.
Because, this is where my rant goes. This is my turn to get a little emotional and heated.
All right.
This is going to sound like such a homer take. And I get it. Because it is, but it isn't. Because I've felt this way before. But it comes up now because it happened to the team I'm watching. You should not be allowed to challenge a goal if you're going to use your timeout. Why are we giving teams the ability to sit there and be like, you know what, we need more time to look at this play. So give us more time. And then we'll go pixel by pixel on our little fucking iPads and determine that he was a pixel offside. He was a way offside. I get it. But the fact that you can't use your timeout, it's stupid. You should not be allowed to sit there and use your timeout to give yourself more time to look at the iPad. It's dumb. I hate it. I think it should be abolished. I honestly hate the offside rule as it is anymore.
Yeah.
It's not. It's so out of spirit of the rule because Matt Duchene was 4,000 feet offside and the refs somehow don't call that. Get it? Okay, fine. But we're going pixel by pixel, spending 8 minutes on reviews, wasting so much time to determine if it was offside when it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Klingberg had nothing to do with that play.
Yeah. And that is my issue with it as well, is we're taking goals away from guys that weren't the ones that were offside. And
I guess there was some ice in the bottom of my cup, and it came loose and just smacked me in the face.
yeah. Okay. We have people that listen to this with headphones. I can hear.
It's fine. I'll
Sorry.
fix it in post.
Okay. But I agree. Players that are not a part of like the offside are having goals taken away.
Yeah.
And also, why are we taking so much offense away?
They want offense, but then we're going to allow teams to use their timeout to spend however much extra time looking at their iPad. It's not against the rules. I get it. It's not against the rules.
Yeah.
And so smart by Toronto. Take
Yeah.
the extra time. Do it. They were right. They won the game because of it. I get it. Good for them. No one should be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
You asked me when I was doing this mini rant earlier this week, if the Oilers did it, how would I feel? I'd be pissed. I don't care. It's dumb. The whole offside rule is so far beyond what it was intended for. Like, why is, if we're going to sit there and be like, well, okay, well, the ref clearly, or the linesman missed it by a pixel. So we're going to challenge it. Why can't any team just be like, hey, you guys missed a penalty and we're going to challenge it?
Yeah.
Because if that's what the reasoning is, well, the ref missed it.
Because also McCabe had a trip on McDavid that should have put us on the power play.
I've looked back at that play. I don't think so.
No?
It was hip on hip.
Okay.
He got the step, got hip on hip, and took him down.
Okay.
As much as I wanted to be like, man, that's a trip, and he's on a breakaway.
Yeah.
He got the step, hip on hip, took him down. It was good.
Yeah. Also, I'm just gonna say, like, I understand your frustration, and like I'm frustrated as well. This offside rule, it's caused more issues than it has solved issues, and the whole like taking the timeout, I respect it honestly. Because
yes, it's a viable option right now, so use it. But it's like it's getting to the same point of, you know, for 4 straight years, Stone going on LTIR because it's not against the rules.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not the spirit of the rule.
I know.
And it's getting insane. It's
know.
getting out of hand, and I hate it. We gotta. The problem is I've read some of the NHL rule book. Everything is left so vague for a reason.
For interpretation.
Yeah, and it's like no, it should not be black. It should be black and white.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean the discretion of the referee? It's not. It shouldn't be the ref deciding if it's a penalty. Was that a penalty? Put your fucking arm up.
I mean, you know what? It could always be worse. We could be like the NFL, and there are rules that like haven't been used in years. And like in the Philly-Washington game, because Philly was doing the tush push on the 1 yard line, and the one guy on Washington, he just kept on jumping over the pile to like throw them off.
That, yeah.
And they called him for encroachment twice. And then they said they're like, if it happens again,
they can just award the touchdown.
Can award the touchdown, which is crazy. And everybody on Twitter, on Pardon My Take, nobody knew about that rule. So at least we somewhat know the rules, and we don't have weird ones thrown into playoff games where you're like, this could actually decide our game right now.
That's fair. I mean, it kind of did, though. Did it not with Makar? With Makar? Oh, what's possession? What's not possession? He didn't have the puck. He went in offside, but he had possession. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I have more rants. That was not a penalty on Ekholm last night.
Okay, I was hoping we were going to get into this.
I'm sorry. I'm heated now we're doing this. That was not a penalty.
No. It was...
That happens 5 times a game.
It was a good reverse hit. I don't know what to tell you.
The puck touched him.
Yeah.
The guy had his head down. His teammate threw him a suicide pass into his feet, and Ekholm blew him up. And now that's interference? What about the punches and the roughing and the delay of game after that?
And what about the boarding?
Boarding on Hyman.
Like, hello?
Where was that? That is honestly what I'm more pissed about. How are you going to sit there and be like, well, that's interference, but fucking that's fine. That's fine. That's not a penalty. But then in overtime, Leon should have got a penalty, 100%.
Oh, 100%. I saw that and I was like,
and I'm like, what is happening? Like, what is it with officiating in the NHL? I get it. I ref minor hockey, okay? I understand a little bit. I can't say there and be like, I understand what it's like to ref high-level hockey. I ref minor hockey in Millet, like whatever. But game management is stupid.
Yeah,
it is. You want to know what I've gotten out of coaches reffing? If I put my hand up 80 times a game in U13, they don't care. Because at least I'm calling it, and their kids learn. If I sit there and just let it go because, oh, well, they're both doing it, coaches get mad.
Yeah.
Because that's how people get hurt.
Yeah.
Hyman getting boarded like that, that's how you hurt a player.
For sure.
And the fact we're not going to call that, it's dumb.
Yeah.
And yes, the Oilers found a way to win last night. Good job. McDavid absolutely embarrassed Holloway and Broberg in overtime. Absolutely embarrassed.
Like, absolutely walks them. And also, Stu having that glove save on Broberg, he was like, I think the fuck not. And we needed a Stuart Skinner game.
For real.
We needed a Stuart Skinner game.
The goals that did go in were on Stu. Just a weird trickly bounce on the PK, and then... I mean, fuck, the hockey gods had us. Robert Thomas with the wide open net.
Seriously.
With the one-timer and fucks it up. Hilarious.
Seriously, like, the way those were going, I was like, our luck has run out. We're done. We're cooked. We're done. We're losing this game.
We almost got goalied by Jordan Bennington.
I hate Jordan Bennington.
Yeah, well.
You know what? I saw a tweet and it said, as soon as they played Hot to Go by Chaperone, I knew Jordan Bennington wasn't going to win. And I was like, you know what? Yeah.
That is...
Thank you, Chapel Roan.
Okay. Well, thanks, Chapel Roan. I'm sure she had a lot to do with our win.
Okay. Also, Jeff Skinner, his defensive play again.
Fantastic.
He saved not one, but 2 goals.
I know.
2 goals.
Insane.
And, like, he played 7 minutes and 27 seconds last night. I'm like, Knobloch, please put him up there.
I'm telling you, he does deserve to look with Leon.
He does. And, like, at least he can finish.
Yep.
Arvidsson and Podkolzin, I love them, and they've been great. But lately, they can't finish, and they are being set up perfectly by Draisaitl, and they can't finish it. I'm like, we need wingers for Draisaitl. We need them because we can't have Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line every single night.
Well, I mean, we can if we go out and acquire a nice little 2C. And I know I got you excited with this rumor yesterday.
I was very excited about this.
She was very happy.
Okay, really quickly, one more. Bush's stick in overtime.
Oh.
He saved that game. He saved that game, and Edmonton media, I'm not going to say his name, writing hit pieces about Bouchard. Enough. You know what? We either get offensive or defensive Bouchard. Which would you rather have? I would rather have a defensive Bouchard. That's all I'm going to say.
No, 100%. And I mean, but you say you want that, but then the move he made last night to set up McDavid in overtime, walks in, good zone entry, absolutely makes the move around the guy, sets out the drop pass. McDavid does a little whoo, breaks Holloway's ankles. He's on the LTIR. Broberg falls down. He must have vertigo. He's on the IR. And then he feeds it to who I thought was Leon Draisaitl on the side.
Literally, that is what I said.
Zoomed in, and I'm like, that's red hair. That's Connor Brown. What are you doing?
Seriously?
It took me like 5 minutes for me to realize, absorb the fact that was Connor Brown and ask myself, why was he out there in overtime with McDavid?
I saw him go on the ice, and I was like, we are putting Connor Brown on the ice in overtime. Okay. Knobloch, I trust you. I trust you, man. And then literally in my notes, I have Connor Brown, question mark, exclamation point. He looked like Leon.
I genuinely was like, all right, Bush, McDavid, Draisaitl out there, it's fine. I wasn't really paying attention. I saw Bush walk in, McDavid picked it up, Holloway falls over, broken ankles. He's on the IR 4 to 6 weeks. Great. Broberg sits there. He's like, he bites, he makes the pass, he falls over, he's got vertigo. He's out 2 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the one-timer on the stretching Bennington. And I'm like, that had to be Leon. And I'm like, that's not Leon.
Yeah, my jaw dropped.
That's 28.
Oh, it was so good. That was vintage McDavid that we were seeing, and it was just so good. And it was just so fun.
Because I've seen a lot of talk the last couple of days. Has McDavid been McDavid this season? Yes. Look at that. How can you look at that and not be like, that's McDavid?
Also, McDavid doesn't need to be McDavid every night. So how about we just give him a break?
We don't need a McDavid season. It's Leon season.
Literally. Okay, let's get to the rumors and the daydream that I'm going to live in for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Do you want to break this down or do you want me to do it?
You're the one that came to me with it, so
Okay.
you know more information about it.
So there's buzz, there's rumors, there's talk. Nothing's concrete because this does a lot require on the Eastern Conference playoff picture. However, there is a idea being floated around that the Edmonton Oilers, if he were to become available, would go heavy after one Brad Marchand from the Boston Bruins. Currently, the Bruins sit damn near the bottom of the Atlantic. Tied with the Lightning, sure, but they are sitting 6th in the division. And unfortunately, 6th in the Atlantic is still enough to put you 4th in the Metro. But in terms of the wild card race, they're not in it.
No. We should mention that Swayman had another shutout last night.
Yep.
So he is playing better and he's finding his game, which I like, but I don't like if this theoretical trade does happen, because I love Marchand. I love him because he is a lovable rat. Matthew Tkachuk, I hate that guy. I hate that guy. I can't stand that guy. I hate him. I don't like him as a person. I'm not going to get into my personal thoughts on him. And I don't like him as a player. And I just love Marchand. And I think he would be such an asset to us. He would really bring this group even more together than they already are.
Uh-huh.
And we could then have McDavid and Draisaitl together every night. Or we could have a line of Kane, Marchand, Perry, which I would die to see. I would die dead to see that.
And then you throw, Nurse and Emberson out there, Nurse and someone. And you go just that is the first shift of the game, of the first game of the series. Those four out there, and they are there to set the tone.
And they are just there doing rat things and doing worm things, and Kane is doing Kane things. Oh my God. I like, this is my wildest dreams, and I know it probably won't happen. And I'm like setting myself up for sadness and disappointment.
Listen, it's the dog days of the season. The trade deadline's still a month away. Boston could fall even further. And it's fun to live in Fantasyland right now because
it is.
Literally most of the games right now don't matter.
Also, like, McDavid's going to be there with Marchie at Four Nations.
Yeah.
Like, McDavid, do a little recruiting.
Come on.
Tell him to come over. I know it'll take a lot for him to leave his bestie Pasta and Swayman and McAvoy.
Here's my thing. Just go re-sign in the offseason.
Honestly.
He's a UFA at the end of this year. Come here for 3 months, 4 months, win a cup, go back.
I don't hate that. Like, if he did come, I would want him to stay because I hate letting go of players.
Nah, I'd let him walk, sign Rantanen.
Yeah, because that'll happen.
With the cap going up, you can afford it.
I know.
We've
been living in Fantasyland the last 2 episodes.
I know, but it's because there's not much else to do until, like, Four Nations is coming up. Yeah. That'll be fun, but, like...
Also, Four Nations...
They haven't announced who's replacing
Petrangelo.
That guy.
He
sounds like a Ninja Turtle.
We need to stop making ourselves sound silly when we're trying to sound out people's names on here. So I'm just not going to say it.
It's a hard name. You guys try and say it 10 times fast. See how it goes. They haven't announced who's replacing him for Four Nations.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to know what my guess is they're waiting to see how Drew Doughty's looking.
Yeah, because he's openly said, I want to play.
But I don't think he deserves it.
Well, like, you've missed the entire season, and then to get called up for Four Nations when, like, you have Mackenzie Weegar, who's played his ass off all season, going over him, like, I'd be okay with Weegar. I'd be okay with Dougie Hamilton, although we don't really need another offensive guy. So I'd be okay with Mackenzie Weegar. Yep. And that's my pick.
So that's also my pick. I think he deserves it, and it's really not fair to be like, I get it. I know Doughty is a Canadian icon. He's played with Team Canada before, and he's done all these great things, and he's a vet defense. We don't need any more vets.
We're in the new golden age of the
for real
NHL, so let's just, like, move on. I'm sorry, but we need to move on. We need
all these vet players, but then also, like, we're leaving Hyman off for Konechny.
Yeah. Also, really quickly, in the Toronto game, Kulak was pushing Skinner up the ice.
I love that.
I loved it.
You usually see it on, like, the back check, not the get into the zone.
Yeah. I don't know what that was. And I don't think Jeff Skinner's that slow, so I didn't really understand the, like, thought process. But I was like, let's do it. Let's do it, Kulak. I'm here for it.
Just a little boost. Sometimes you just need your teammates to give you a hand.
Yeah, and I know I talk about Jeff Skinner all the time, and I love him, but I'm just going to say it because he's also looked, like, pretty sad on the bench, and I know he's going out there and doing basically everything Knobloch is asking him to do. And I just want him to know, like, Jeff, if you go on Twitter, you are going to see almost every Oiler fan asking for you to be on that top 6 in the top 6. So
listen, the biggest thing for me personally was I was thinking, like, he's not playing good defense. We need defense, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing the defense.
Yeah.
And so I can sit here and be like, yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, God, bless me.
Bless you. Holy smokes.
I know. I'm sorry about that. He's playing the defense now. And if he's going to keep doing that consistently, then I have no reason to be like, he doesn't deserve to be in our top 6.
Exactly.
Because Arvidsson's not doing it.
No.
And, like, I love Arvy. I think he does bring stuff to this team. And I'm not on the boat of we need to trade him. He sucks. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people online.
I was just going to say Arvidsson sneaky trade.
We have time for this rant. I'm making time for this rant.
Okay, go for it.
We need to stop immediately going to, this guy sucks, trade him after 6 bad games. We lost 2 games. Okay, we lost 1 game in overtime and then lost a game that we probably should have forced into overtime with that offside. And the amount of people I saw online being, we need to trade this guy. We can't win with this guy. Boosh sucks. Stu sucks. Shut the fuck up. It's February, whatever. It makes no sense. We gotta stop. Have to stop. Trade Stu. Why? You guys remember when we had Devin Dubnyk? That guy. You remember Devin Dubnyk? You remember when we had him on our team? We drafted him, developed him, played him, traded him. Why'd we trade him? Oh, because we had to. Why? Have you gone and looked at the numbers from the 3 seasons he played?
No, I have not.
He had a 919, a 917, and a 920 save percentage.
I like that you know this off the top of your head. You don't even have it pulled up right now.
No, I just know this. Because letting Dubnyk go was one of the worst mistakes we ever made. He went on and had a great career. Why are we... Stu is 25.
Yeah.
Do you know how late goalies usually starting?
Yeah.
Not 25.
Yeah.
Not 23 when he started being an NHL starter.
Yeah.
Can we just calm down on we need to trade all these guys because they suck and they had a bad game and blah, blah, blah. Shut up.
How about we cut Stu Skinner some slack? He just had a baby. He's now at home with 2 kids and his wife just gave birth. Like, I know, like, separate work from home, but, like, also... You're going through a major life change. Like, just give him a little bit of, like, grace. And I understand, like, he has not been as consistent as we need, but we also need to play well in front of him.
Absolutely.
And I will ride Stuart Skinner till the day I die. Like, I love that guy.
Yeah, I love Stu. People are blaming. I saw a lot of people being like, Stu lost us the Toronto game because he couldn't control a rebound. No, the rule is goalie makes the first save. Defense has to be there to clear out the rebound.
Exactly.
The defense did not tie up their guy. They did not swing at the puck. They did not clear it. There's no reason twice the shot should go through. It drops in front of the net. Yes, would you like Stu to suck that one in if it's hitting his chest? Sure. You can argue that. But that's not going to happen every time.
No.
So it hits his chest, drops in front. You have 2 defensemen there. How does William Nylander pick it up, walk both of you to the far side, and then have the open net?
And also, how does Mitch Marner walk into the zone, not think that a play is going to develop from it, and then he has an open lane, and he just takes it? Like, I'm sorry, but, like, that can't happen.
Someone's got to touch him. Someone's got to hit him. Get a stick in there. Do something. So, no, I don't blame Stu for the loss to Toronto. I definitely don't blame him for the loss, and I definitely don't blame him for the 2 goals that happened last night.
No.
Stu's doing everything we're asking of him to do and doing it well. And I'm just tired of media and fans. And during those 2 losses there, I couldn't go on my phone. I couldn't go on Twitter because every time it was just, we need to trade Arvidsson. He sucks. We need to trade Skinner if he's not going to play in our top 6. Podkolzin's not doing enough. It's like, I don't get it. We're 3rd in the league, top of the Pacific. Why can't we be happy?
Every fan base is so... They like to be miserable. That is.
I don't like to be miserable.
I don't like being miserable.
I like to be happy.
But sometimes you just need to keep your thoughts to yourself. And
why? Twitter exists.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but hockey Twitter is the most toxic place I've ever seen in my entire life. And I only like going on it after a win because everybody's like, "Oh my god, Stuart Skinner for Vezina." All of this stuff. And I'm just remember last week when you were saying we needed to trade him? Because I do.
I hate that. I hate people who
I never forget. I hate the
people who swing so hard to both sides and just ride whatever the wave vibe is. It's no. If you're going to say Stu Skinner sucks, deal with it. If you're going to say it, stick by it. If you're going to sit here and be like, well, he sucks in a game where he gave up 3 goals on 35 shots and they weren't his fault, but it sucks because we only scored 1 goal that game, went 0 for 3 on a power plays,
couldn't capitalize on empty nets,
yeah. But Stu Skinner sucks, and we need to trade him.
He's the worst.
Can't win a cup.
He's the problem.
We need to trade for Demko so he can sit on our IR for 75% of the season, and then we play Pickard and Rodrigue. The fuck is your problem? Think things through.
I'm sorry.
Because I saw that take. I saw someone say, we need to trade Skinner for Demko.
I'm sorry. The rage I feel inside of me right now.
Because, yes, that's what we need. We need an injury-prone Demko who spends 75% of the last 2 seasons on the IR. So Pickard has to start, and we have Ollie Rodrigue as the backup. or Delia or Unger, like Nathan. Do we pull Nathan Day from wherever the hell he's from? Like, it makes no sense, guys. Stuart Skinner is he a top 10 goalie in this league? No. Is he top 15? Probably not. Is he good enough for you to win every night? Absolutely.
Yes. And yeah, like I understand the argument that like goalies are getting younger. Like Ottinger's young, Swayman's young,
But
Stu's
the same
young.
age as Skinner.
And how many of them have been to a Stanley Cup final?
Neither of them.
Yeah. Know who has?
Skinner.
Stuart motherfucking
Game
Skinner.
7 of the Stanley Cup final.
Exactly.
And guess what? They didn't lose the final due to Skinner.
No.
He let in 2 goals. Your team, the Edmonton Oilers, should be able to score more than 2 goals in a game. And your lone goal should not be coming from Janmark on a breakaway set up by Cody Ceci.
And also, like, a game 7 is a 50-50 coin flip. Like, I'm sorry. So, like, that is my argument every single time is who brought us there? And you know what? You can blame the Vancouver series on him all you want, but he went and, like,
He won game 6
I don't know what he did, but he turned his game around completely. Pickard came in, did what he needed to do, and then Stewart came in, and he was like, I am not letting this series
Skinner won
be over.
Skinner won us the Dallas series.
Yeah.
He outdueled Ottinger. He outdueled honestly, if it wasn't for Bobrovsky, we would have won the Stanley Cup final in like 5 games.
Totally.
Bobrovsky stole them game 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And like Skinner played fine in those games. And then Skinner won us a few, like, whatever. So I hate that we have like some adversity in the middle, like in the dog days of the thing. And it's like, well, trade deadline's coming up, so we need to trade this guy. No, the fuck we don't.
Yeah.
Remember, like, imagine if we traded Connor Brown last season. We never get the Janmark Henrique Brown line.
No. And that was one of our strongest lines throughout the entire playoffs. So this is a Stuart Skinner reinforcer podcast. We love him, and we won't tolerate any hate towards Stuart Skinner.
None at all.
All right.
Also, a quick shout out, my boy Emberson. He just can't have a bad game.
No.
He's just so good.
Yeah, he needs a goal.
Wait until I can find the money to get my Emberson jersey. Might wait till next year when they release the new thirds.
Nice. Yeah.
But that is unfortunately all the time we have for today. I'd love to keep going because I have more thoughts, but we got to get to class.
Yeah, I gotta find an audio file before we go, and time is quickly dwindling.
I know. I'm sorry. I made time for that last rant. That
no,
went on for like
that's okay.
7
That's
minutes.
okay. We're good. All right. Well, this is Mackenzie and Tristyn from Blue Line Banter. We'll see you again next week.
This same.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and share it with everyone you know.
Everyone.
I want to shout out like everybody in our class that listens, because
honestly, you guys are great.
If we didn't have you guys, it would be like my mom and Tristyn's family that listened. So thank you guys. Like and subscribe.
Make sure you tell your grandma's bingo group
this
week.
Tell your grandma's bingo group. Tell like your barista at Starbucks.
Yeah, there you go. What's your name? My favorite podcast, Blue Line Banter.
Yes. All right. See you guys.
Yeah.